Welcome to my tower, Master Chief. It is where you will be broken.
After 6 long years, we finally get a new Halo game. What's up, guys? Veteran Gamer here. And for the purpose of this review will encompass the campaign and a campaign alone. I'll put the link into the description for my review of the multiplayer that I posted a couple of weeks ago, but this review will mainly focus on the campaign. So with that being said, let's get into it. For starters, the graphics. Okay, the graphics, if you've seen my multiplayer review, you'll know that I think the graphics are good. You know I think that the art is great. And playing Halo Infinite, once the doors of Zeta Halo open up to you, you truly see that beauty and that work of art. Everything about Halo's art style is fantastic. The graphics, although by a technical standpoint isn't the best I've seen, it works really well with the art style, and it's just absolutely fantastic. The audio and the musical score. Halo's known for having great audio and music, and Halo Infinite is without question no different. The musical score in Halo Infinite is absolutely fantastic. Everything from the writing, the voiceover, the overall presentation of this game is top tier. And without question, some of the best AI and artificial intelligence that I've ever seen in any FPS game. Quite frankly, the grunts specifically in Halo Infinite is without question the best grunts of any Halo game, hands down. It's not even close. To the point where the AI and whoever at 343 wrote the dialogue, whoever did the voice acting for the grunts, I mean, it is absolute top tier. And just see for yourself, just see these clips about these grunts and you'll understand what I mean.
Whatever happens, I just hope I die
These weapons are powerful. I must tell someone.
Happy to help, Chief. Well, at least it's a weapon. Huh. Are you serious right now?
Safe to say the grunts are absolutely fantastic, and to me personally, they stole the show. However, hunting grunts can only be good if the gameplay itself is up to par, and safe to say that if you've played the Halo multiplayer, if you've seen that review, you'll understand that the gameplay is fantastic and it has transitioned well to the campaign. Essentially, when it comes to Halo Infinite's campaign, it's all about the sandbox. And essentially, if you can imagine it, it's probably possible. And in saying that, you can do whatever you think. It's highly unlikely that you'll find things that you imagine you can try to do that doesn't work. That's completely how good the sandbox is. It's how good the physics in this game is. The physics in Halo Infinite is without question the best in any FPS game that I've played personally. The way the environment reacts, the way the items and the world react, everything is just fantastic, and that transitioned very well from the multiplayer portion of the game. The thing is about the sandbox, and what I love about this campaign, is most FPS campaigns, they have set pieces to create these epic moments. However, as anyone knows, set pieces are just on rails. Halo Infinite does away with set pieces. Instead of having your traditional set pieces, it relies on you, the player, to use the sandbox to make your own epic moments without actually having to do it for you. What this does as a player is that it kind of caters the experience to you and you alone. And that's great because as you progress through the game, you will run into the game's eventual bosses. Now, the boss battles in this game, to me, in my opinion, they are good, but nothing overly special. The one thing I did appreciate about these bosses is that they are actually smart and have their own attack patterns and whatnot, but they're not bullet spongy. They're not like a Destiny bullet sponge where it takes you forever to kill a boss. It's not the case. They actually have a fair amount of health depending on the difficulty that you play it on. In saying that, I spoke about the challenge of the game. Regardless of what difficulty you play the game on, my first playthrough I did it on normal. The game itself has a fair amount of challenge. It's not overly hard, but if you are reckless, you will die and die relatively easily. But once the game opens up to you and you get past the opening sections, you will unlock the FOB locations, the basically forward operating bases. These forward operating bases, you take each one, they act as fast travel points, which is very helpful, and they also allow you to call in the drops for like vehicles, weapons, etc. The thing is about Halo Infinite's campaign world is that as you do your side quests, as you complete missions, you earn valor. The valor is then used to upgrade your FOB locations. This will allow you to get more weapons and gear, more vehicles, as well as strengthening your troops throughout the campaign. This is great, and to be honest, the side missions that accompany these quests, they're good. This is not like a Far Cry. This is not like a padded open world like you would find in an Ubisoft game. The open world fits it very nice. The sandbox fits it very, very nice. The only issue that I think I have with the game itself, the main issue I would say that I have with Halo Infinite's campaign, particularly with the open world, is that it screams co-op. Throughout my entire playthrough, I couldn't shake the feeling that if I could play the co-op with a friend or two, it would have been a much more enjoyable co-op, especially in the open world sections. You can tell in the game's design, the way the levels are designed, the way the world is designed, is that it is meant for co-op. And it's very unfortunate that it's not there, because it does take away from the experience. And then when you get into the interior sections of the game, personally speaking, I couldn't help but shake this Doom feeling, where the game kind of felt like a slower paced Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. And that's not a bad thing. Those campaigns were really good and those games are really good. But it did feel that way. In saying that, when it comes to the game's open world, it's not a true open world. It's like open sections of the game, and the exploration unfortunately is very, very limited. In saying that, everything that you need to find in the map is essentially has waypoints that you could just click to track and go. Nothing's really hidden from you except for the game's skulls and data logs. That's it. That's the only thing that's actually not registered on the map. Everything else is. So it does limit the exploration very much, but it never takes away from the core game or how fun the game is. The only other issue I would say that I had with this game was during the cutscenes, the frame rate is at a lower setting. Now, I'm aware that 343 is currently trying to fix that issue, but as of the making of this video, it is noticeable and distracting that when you look at Ishram's mouth, it's moving at like 30 frames and it just feels off when you go back into the game and it's silky smooth. Me playing on PC with max settings, I was playing easily 120 frames per second. And, you know, it's just weird when you go to the cutscene and then all of a sudden it just feels off because the frame rate is dropped. And I know it's not pertaining to the hardware. The last thing is, because this is a campaign, this is a story. There is a story here. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into it. I don't want to spoil anything, but the story itself is a straightforward story. It's not overly complicated. In saying that one of the issues with Halo Infinite's campaign is if you are a new player, the game assumes that you know everything. So new players, you guys are screwed. If you do not watch like a background video or the story so far video going in, or if you just, you know, don't have the time to go and play the Master Chief Collection, going in not knowing anything, is going to impact your story experience. I find that the story, obviously, it is the next chapter. So for returning players, fans of the franchise, you're getting a great campaign. But for those new players, yeah, I highly recommend either playing the Master Chief Collection or watching videos, because at the end of the day, the story assumes that you know what happened prior to this game. But overall, I loved this campaign. The freedom that you have to attack objectives in the open world, the graphics, the story, the voice acting, the grunts, the gameplay. Everything about Halo Infinite is fantastic, with the only real caveat to me being that it just misses the co-op. You know, personally, I'm not a big co-op person, but it is missing it, and I felt that it was missing. Right? Some people have an issue with the fact that the game only does feature one biome, and that you don't have different environments. It all looks the same, and it does. But it's a beautiful looking world. It's a beautiful game. It's a lot of fun to play. And I highly recommend it. This is one of the best campaigns of any FPS game that I've played. And this is, in my opinion, the best Halo campaign to date. In saying that, I highly recommend Halo Infinite's campaign. It is available on GamePass, so you don't have to purchase it outright if you don't want to. And keep in mind that this game does have a multiplayer component. Although it is treated separately, there is a multiplayer component that ties into it. But all in all, I love my time in Halo Infinite, and I'm giving Halo Infinite's campaign a 9.5 out of 10. This is Veteran Gamer, and I hope to see you guys next time.